Ready? Okay. I'd like to call to order the Village of Ashwaubenon Park and Recreation Board Tuesday, April 18th, 2023 meeting, please. Call to order.
Deborah Lundberg.
Yeah.
Here. A. Dean Hess.
Here.
Chris Serble.
Here.
Donovan Miller.
Here.
Tracy Fluke. Here. And Mark Castonia and Heidi Murphy are excused.
Okay, please stand for a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yeah, please keep in your thoughts our men and women out there in blue and serving our country to keep us safe and free. All right. Action on the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Comments from the public must be limited to items not on the agenda, must state name and address, limited to 5 minutes. Board's role is to listen and not discuss the item. Personal issues cannot be discussed, nor individuals named. Board is not able to take action at this meeting. Do we have anybody out in the public that wants to make comments not on the agenda? Nothing there, nothing on the interweb. We will move on. Written communications. Do we have anything today? No? Anybody got anything? No? Okay. Action on consent agenda.
Motion to accept.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Action items. A, Eagle Scout project request by Alex Smits.
All right, so I'm pleased to invite Alex up here to the front table. Alex is an Eagle Scout candidate from Ashwaubenon. He's been in Scouts obviously a long time, and he's here to present some information to you. You've got some great pictures in your packet of what he'd like to do over at Waterford Park. Alex, go right ahead.
So I'd like to build a Gaga pit, which is a ball game. It's an octagonal pit, and this is what one of the corners would look like. Basically, kids hit balls at each other's legs underneath the knees, try to get each other out. It's very popular at summer camps around the country. And mine would take a 25 by 25 concrete area and have the pit on top of it.
So kids try to do, what's the game again?
It's called Gaga.
Yeah, and they try to hit each other in the legs?
With a kickball ball.
Oh, a bigger like a kickball?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. And the object is is there a winner, or is this the game just keeps?
It's the last person left that hasn't gotten hit.
Okay, it's kind of like an enclosed dodgeball,
Kind of.
Yeah.
below the knees, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And you can't pick the ball if you can only hit it with an open hand.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to jump in here, Alex, just for a second. It's a really popular game. The kids have been playing it for a number of years now. But my kids were playing it since they were little, and they absolutely love it. So
Really? Wow.
if you know, I think it was a good suggestion by Alex to have this in our repertoire, I guess, of facilities, amenities within our facility. So.
The one pictured is the one on the end of Avondale and Babcock, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And now that one's mulch. Will there be mulch in this one as well, or will this just be concrete?
It will just be concrete.
Okay. I just saw sand, and that one's mulch, and
I actually wanted concrete.
less upkeep.
Yeah, less upkeep.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's what I think about.
No, we at our church they have one with sand, and the sand ends up out. So, totally respect that.
We talked about a couple different potential sites, and we chose Waterford only because there's a strong park program there, and so with the parkie that would be there throughout the summer, and with it being in close proximity to the parkie area, the parkie would be able to lead the games and check the balls out or the ball, I should say. So that would be on site. Kids wouldn't need to bring their own ball or anything to play it. It would be kind of run by, during the summertime anyway, by the staff person that's there.
For the concrete, then you're just looking at it within the circle itself, or are you going to put a space along the outside? Do you think it's necessary? Because the kids, if I understand it, stand outside and then go in?
Yeah, there will be, it'll be a 25 by 25 square of concrete, and then the pit itself will take up about, it'll be 20-ish feet long on the longest part. So there'll be a little bit of concrete on the outside for people to stand on.
Okay.
Alex, do you have any idea of the numbers of individuals that have this particular interest?
I'm not sure exactly the number of people, but every time, almost every summer camp has them, and they're very popular at summer camps.
Okay. And is there anything with, any problems with inclusion of males, females, ethnicity background for people?
I wouldn't anticipate any.
Okay. The only reason I ask is, what about age grouping with skill level? Is there anything there? I mean,
Not really. It's very easy to learn. It's very easy to play, and you still have fun either way.
okay, it's the first time I've heard of this particular activity, so I apologize for maybe the lack of the background knowledge, but is there team competition in this at all?
No, it's everyone for themselves.
Is there a rules board that would be associated with the
Yes.
construction of this?
We have a metal placard on the outside that would have all the rules of the game.
Okay.
How many players at a time are in that ring?
It can be as many as that are there, but usually it's between 10 and 20.
Okay. And then where do you find the age group lies? Where's the sweet spot there?
Usually between like 7 and 14.
Okay.
So the pit will be made of that treated lumber, is that
Yes.
what that is? Okay. So it should hold up, and you're not going to paint it or anything, it'll just be
It'll
natural looking?
just be stained.
Stained, okay.
Will you continue that sidewalk to the octagon? Is the concrete going to go all the way to the pad, or is it going to be the off the trail grass then the pad?
At this point, there's no, that's a good question. We hadn't talked about doing any kind of specific pathway to the octagon.
Yeah, I know, I think it's in your planning to resurface that walk anyway, right? Would that be a better time to do it?
Yeah, it's at some point in the future, that walkway, I mean, it's been around 30 years, I'm guessing?
Yeah, so some of it's starting
30
to
plus?
show its wear.
Yeah,
But-
it's,
At this
we try
time.
and make everything accessible due to the nature of the game itself. The Gaga pit doesn't necessarily, because you got to have a wall around it, so it wouldn't be accessible by a wheelchair. But that doesn't mean that we couldn't do something for viewing, which would bring people to it for observation.
Not to throw a wrench in the plan here, but what if we had a gate there, since it's on concrete and it should always be? Could there be a way that door would swing open to allow for someone with a wheelchair to roll in there?
Good idea.
I mean, they're probably not going to be as competitive maybe as able-bodied 14-year-old, but they could at least be part of the game. Something to think about.
All right.
That's in your design plans. But I think it would be a neat opportunity with a concrete pad being there, because
Yeah.
then a wheelchair could roll in.
Yeah.
And if in the future the path were to extend to that would be a great opportunity.
Yeah,
Something to think about. Could probably be added at a later point too.
essentially, yeah.
Yeah, if maybe that lower section could be swung out or opened in some manner, if
On a
there was,
hinge.
especially when the path goes in, then someone, whether they're in a wheelchair or they're in crutches or whatever, could get in there and play as well.
Easily.
That's a good point, Donovan. Have that.
I think the easiest way to do that would be to, at one of the corners, just have a small parts swing out or swing
Yeah.
in the
Right.
door.
Something. And like I say, I think that could be handled later too. But just something to think about. Thank you.
Alex, your location of this in Waterford Park?
In the open area, just past the right, it's almost right next to the parking shed. So yeah, it'll be right, I'm not sure if you can see this, but it'll be right at the white dot
They all have that map.
on the map.
Oh, it's where the white dot is. I was looking at the shelter thinking that was it. Okay. I'm glad you clarified that because I was kind of thinking it might be too loud over where that shelter is, that it might be better to put it north of the path. But I think that's a good spot for it.
Alex, when are you going to complete this?
I'm sorry.
When will it be open?
It'll be constructed during the summer and it'll be open by the end of the summer for sure.
I think it's a great project, and I appreciate your willingness to put it into the village, because it looks like a fun game. I didn't know much about it, and then I had to look it up, and it looks like a fun game, and I think it would be an asset to the park to, have that available for the kids, and I appreciate you stepping up to do that for us.
All right, thank you.
Good idea, Alex.
I'll make a motion to accept Alex's proposal for Waterford Park.
A second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you.
Nice job, Alex.
Good luck with that. All right. 8B, 2022 pool report.
All right, Melody Escoto, our esteemed aquatic coordinator, will be giving you an update on how the 2022 aquatic season went over at our community pool. Mel.
Hi. So you guys just got the front cover of my report. I think there was only one page that made it into the agenda, so I apologize for that. So if you have any questions, let me know. 2022 was kind of our first year back up and running, minus a little. In 2021, we still had some COVID in there, where we weren't doing rentals and stuff like that. So 2022 is kind of our first year back in full swing. So, everything on the report's kind of self-explanatory, but our numbers really in our classes and our programs really increased, especially in like those water exercise classes and things like that, the aerobics classes. Those numbers were smaller during that COVID time and when we even were able to do it. But now that we're out, they just really have jumped up a lot. So that's nice to see. I think, coming out of COVID, everyone has realized how important, being out and being active and stuff like that is. So it was nice to see those classes jump up. Same with our rentals. They went back to just normal numbers. We're usually around 40 to 50 rentals throughout the whole year. And that number has kind of stayed consistent. There's only so many rentals we're able to do with all the other things that run at the pool. So that number stays pretty regular. Our lap swim and our open lap swim have stayed pretty steady. They're usually pretty busy. We stay busy on those weekends. Families are definitely utilizing them. It's in the weekly Wednesdays for the kids when we have them. So that's nice to see that the community is definitely using those open lap swim times for everyone to come out. On the second page is the swimming lesson kind of report for the season and how we did. Our swimming lessons numbers stay pretty consistent. We're full all the time with full class wait lists. I can only hold so many swimming lessons and so many kids in swimming lessons, so it's not even necessarily and like if I had more instructors, I'd be able to have more classes. There's only so much pool space that you can utilize during a swimming lesson. So, and we definitely utilize it all. So those numbers generally stay pretty consistent with how many people we have in the lesson program during each session. So if you guys have any questions, let me know. I guess some of the highlights that happened at the pool is since the pool was built, we are becoming more popular. So we're always now we're hosting boys and girls high school conference, high school sectionals, all those kind of things, those bigger meets. I get requests quite often from outside organizations to host meets for them due to our size and the load upstairs, like the viewing load that we have. Most places and pools don't have that much seating for spectators. But this, well, I guess it's not 2020, we hosted state for club this year. This January we did, and that was really the biggest thing we've ever hosted at the pool. And it went so well. The club did such an awesome job with it. We had 507 swimmers throughout the weekend. A normal meet, like a normal weekend meet, traditionally we'll have about 250 swimmers, so this was literally double what we've ever hosted before. The club did an excellent job of making sure that the building was very organized so that the movement, came through, and they just did a really awesome job. So I'd love to see more things like that come in for the club. I do know that they put in a bid for, other larger meets, so hopefully we'll see those kind of things come. We have a great facility, so it's nice to see it utilized, and with a meet as large as the club brought in, that brings in hotels and all the stuff that comes with it. There was a little over 2,000 spectators through that whole weekend, and so that's a really big deal.
And the
So,
majority were from out of town.
and majority were from out of town, correct. It was a state meet, so it was 10 and under swimmers. So it was a busy, busy place, but it's so fun when it's going like that.
Melody, for the big meet, did you use other parts of the school besides just the
did.
pool? And how
Right.
did that work out? Did it work well, and any issues with any of that?
No, so we have such a great relationship with the school whenever we need to use a classroom. In this situation, we had classrooms, we had the whole field house, because if you're not familiar with swimming, when you have a large meet like that, they tend to stay and they like camp out almost, there's air mattresses and tables and chairs, and they stay and create little pool camps essentially. So yeah, the whole field house was used for that, and that was really cool to see.
I want to commend you for the great job that you're doing and directing on managing all of this stuff.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Melody, what's the payment to the Ashwaubenon School District of 62? What is that for?
So the school district gets DPI credits for summer swimming lessons for summer school. So in that time frame, the school district pays my lifeguards. So there's a certain time frame for the summer school program. So during those hours where the school district gets the money for that and the credits for that, they pay the lifeguards during that time
Okay.
frame. So essentially, my summer lifeguards get paid from the school district and the village, as well as the school district pays for my summer supervisor, because it has to be TPI credits, I have to have a licensed teacher on staff, and finding a lifeguard with supervisory experience and a teacher in one can be interesting, but I'm very lucky that I actually have 3 people on staff that are licensed teachers and work for me. So between those 3, they help us qualify for that. And so the school district covers that cost because they need that to be there to get those credits.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Mel, how are the swim lesson numbers now compared to pre-COVID?
They're back where they were. So COVID dropped the numbers quite a bit because parents had to get in the water with their kids. Well, that's the only way that we were able to function is my teachers stayed on the deck and the parents were the only ones touching the kids, helping them kick and stuff like that. And as much as, you want your kids to learn to swim, you don't necessarily want to get in the water all the time, every time they have a lesson. So they did drop during COVID, and then we shrunk the numbers. The numbers are back to exactly where they were prior to COVID. I mean, the classes are pretty intense to get into if most non-residents can't get in our programs. Maybe there's 1 or 2 spots by the end, but those little kid classes fill up the night of. I mean, I come in, it opens at 12:01. When I come in at 8 o'clock in the morning, they're filled with wait lists. So people are staying up signing up at 12:01 to get into the lessons. So I don't, that's why if you never see a post about swimming lessons on Facebook or anything, I don't say anything to anyone about them, not because I'm hiding them, but because there's nothing to necessarily offer anybody.
Can you talk just a little bit about the difference between the group lessons that we offer versus the private lessons which we offer?
So group lessons obviously are the bulk of my swimming lessons here. It's limited to, each class has a different number that it allows. So like the smaller classes, the tiny tots, the level 1, the level 2 is 6 children to 1 instructor. We follow the Red Cross standard. It's a pretty regular standard that most people follow. We aren't necessarily Red Cross swimming lessons, but we follow those kind of standards. Level 3 is 8 kids in a class, 4 is 8 kids, and then the larger levels where those kids are actually swimming and we're doing more stroke refinement, there can be up to 10 kids to 1 instructor. Private lessons are, I try and run as many private lessons as I can, but in the staff that I have, most of them are high school students. I have a couple college students, so we focus mainly on those group lessons, and then private lessons are what they can pick up based on availability. So I have a private lesson wait list right now. It's pretty extensive. I think I just signed a lady up today and she was number 75 on my wait list. And then during the summer, we try and, like with my college kids home, we try and get as many of those through because those kids are trying to make money. And, you know, extra lessons is extra dollars in their, you know, their pocket, and the kids get to have more of a private lesson. We have one-on-one lesson. We offer one-on-one lessons. We offer semi-private lessons, which is 3 kids to 1 instructor. And then I have the previous girls swim coach. She does competitive lessons for me, which then can help those kids that are trying to, you know, join the club or something like that.
Do you do adult lessons at all? Or
We do. So some of those people are adults some are adaptive. So there's, you know, kids with disabilities. And I just recently hired a woman that worked with that genre for a long, long time. So she's kind of picking those ones out as much as she can and kind of focusing on that, because that's a huge part of it. And adaptive aquatics is really important. So whatever we can do for those too.
For the open swim or rec swim, obviously we have 2 pools. We have the competition pool and we've got the warm water pool. What's the difference between the 2, and where do you see the people gravitating to during those open swim times?
The difference as far as the pools go, as far as where they are, they're all in the warm water pool. Not all of them, I shouldn't say that, because you get the older kids that go and they love the diving board and stuff like that, and diving for the bricks and the rings in the deep water. But that warm water pool, if I could triple the size, it probably still wouldn't be enough. Not even just for the younger age groups. You know, the senior community is very large here in Ashwaubenon, and they utilize it. So, I mean, that warm water pool is a pretty bump in place on a weekend. So if you're coming to work out in that pool on an open family swim, that's not the day to do it. You should come to one of those lap swims in the middle of the week. But the warm water pool definitely gets utilized more, but during that time frame. But the competition pool is just as busy. Just more space for them to run around, I suppose.
And lastly, just maybe mention a little bit about some of the private rentals that you do with some of like the birthday parties and whatnot, and in use of the auxiliary room or the party room per se.
So the multipurpose room next to the pool was a good add-on in the whole build. We use that so often. It's used for a multitude of things. I just used it this weekend. I had a lifeguarding class this weekend with 18 students. So I teach my classes in there. We have rentals in there, so people have the opportunity to rent that room, which is right next to the competition pool, and they have their party in there. They can decorate, place for the kids to kind of go eat their pizza and their cake and stuff like that, and then they can rent a pool exclusively to themselves. They can just rent the room alone during an open swim, and then they pay per child, and so they still have kind of a place to go. The room is used for coaches, like timing rooms and stuff like that during meets, and where the coaches go and eat and have their snacks and stuff like that. So yeah, that room is definitely utilized a lot. So there's storage in that room as well, which is really helpful. But our rentals, like I said, we will average between 40 and 50 rentals. That's kind of where we can stay. I usually have rentals nearly all weekends that are possible, that aren't holidays or swim meets or anything like that, there's always usually a rental, at least on Saturday or Sunday, for sure. High school does use that too. I mean, I know the swim teams use it for watching videos and tapes and stuff like that. It's got a big screen in there, and that helps. But the high school uses it during PE classes and stuff like that. So it's definitely used a lot.
Is there any times where these pools are not being used except overnight?
No, we have something in there starting 5:30 in the morning, and most time the club is in there till 8:45 at night.
Wow, that's a lot of juggling, huh?
It's a lot of schedules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice to see it being run so well and people taking advantage of it. And thank you for everything you do with that area.
Absolutely.
Mel lives and breathes aquatics. We are very fortunate. And then she just is coming off a 3-year stint as incoming / president / outgoing president of the the aquatic section for Wisconsin Park and Rec. So she's she's definitely fully immersed in the aquatic field and does a great job at it.
Thanks.
Good, thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody got anything else? Want to ask Melody? No? Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Mel.
All right, 8C Park, Rec, and Forestry Department reports. Rex.
Well, spring is here, and with spring brings spring sports, so that's kind of where the focus is right now for our staff, is just trying to get everything ready, get the parks up and running, get them cleaned up for the wintertime, and a lot of work to do still on the baseball, softball fields, but we are playing games on there right now. Certainly at Pioneer, in fact, I just came from there about half an hour ago with the JV and varsity playing. I will say that out at Ashwaubenon, diamond number 4, which is the varsity diamond out there, Ashwaubenon Youth Baseball secured a very nice donation from PCM Credit Union, and they will be redoing that field. They're going to be taking out all of the current infield material, putting in new infield material, regrading everything, building a new pitcher's mound, putting in new sod, turf in the infield. So doing some really nice upgrades to the field. So we certainly thank AYB for that. Because of that, the high school's been playing a lot of the varsity games over at Capital Credit Union Field next door to us here. And then certainly Klipstein is being used, at Kirchmar Field at Klipstein Park is being used very extensively for practices. And I think I know there's JV games scheduled there. I don't know if there's any varsity games or not. With that, then there's also being the field at the sports complex, diamond number 4, which was cut out for baseball a few years ago. That's also being used by the high school program when the varsity's practicing at Kirchmar Field and the JV's practicing out at the sports complex. So everything's being bumped around a lot. So a lot of field work happening going on there.
Rex, are they putting artificial turf in the baseball field at Ashwaubenon? Is in the infield? Is that what they decided to do? Or I can't
So
remember.
that was a discussion that happened quite a bit last year between the high school, some baseball supporters, Ashwaubenon Youth Baseball. They were talking about putting artificial turf or coming to the park board and requesting that. They did some initial fundraising. That's what PCM actually had decided that they would give a donation towards that. But due to a couple different things, I think some fundraising, but just some philosophical issues, I think, as well, they decided that this may not be the time to do it. So then PCM kind of withdrew a little bit, but then offered it's still a very sizable donation to redo the field, the dirt at diamond number 4. We are hosting the state Legion tournament. What level is that? B, Donovan? I can't remember what level that is.
I think that's the A level.
The A level?
Yep.
So we are hosting the Wisconsin Legion baseball tournament at Ashwaubenon. I believe it's the last weekend in July. So with this redo of the field, that will really make things look good for that. It's a very well-known tournament, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the state tournament for Legion.
It's a big get. for
It's a big get. Thank you.
for everyone, you know. And I think the mindset for why that was pushed off was the committee that got together to raise the funds. We had a lot of prospective donations, but I don't know that we had any solid. We had the big one from PCM, and we're using a portion of that to redo Field 4 for the time being, and then we'll revisit this in the near future to put artificial potentially on all 4 diamonds, which is kind of where it stalled was.
The cost,
We could have had money for the one field, but
yeah, the
why do
cost
one?
was rising. Even for diamond number 4, you're probably talking $500,000, give or take. It could be even more than that when it's all said and done. Because it's not just a matter of putting artificial turf down. There's a lot of work, exterior work that needs to be done. Fencing would need to be redone. Dugouts would need to be redone to configure everything the way it needs to be done. So it was becoming quite
Extensive.
extensive, yeah.
Yeah. It's not off. It's just postponed for now. And the reason that it was important to do Field 4 was that, I don't want to say it's beyond repair, but it's long in the tooth. And Parks and Rec did a great job all these years maintaining it. It's just eventually Mother Nature wins out and does what she wants with the field. So it's time to scalp it down and put a new face on it. So, and great time with this tournament coming up. So
Was that tournament something that traveled around, or was that played at one spot normally?
you put a bid in, so it's kind of like the swim. You put a bid in for that to host, and so it's a really big get for the program for Ashwaubenon, because they're going to draw a lot of people for that. So
Good.
outside people.
Yeah.
Project-wise, if you drove through Ashwaubenon Park today, you'd see multiple projects going on in different areas of the park. They are digging the footprint as we speak for the park maintenance building out there. So that's being done. Obviously, the bridge construction is going full bore. They've laid a number of girders that all the girders should be set on the trestles, or whatever you want to call them, by the end of the week. We just had our biweekly construction meeting today or this morning, and things are on track. Things are going well, so a lot of stuff ordered. We're currently looking at different seating and chairs and what amenities we're going to put on the trailhead and different things like that. So we're ordering all that. We're looking at, for the bridge to be complete, we're looking at an end of June timeframe. There's still a little bit of, we're not quite sure whether that will be able to marry time-wise with the trail around Alden Station, because there's a lot of construction going around Alden Station. With that construction, a lot of the construction vehicles from the housing and the apartment building they're building, or the condo building, they've kind of tore the old gravel base up, which means they then need to redo that gravel base. So again, they're waiting for that to finish. Hopefully that will finish on time, and then we can somehow, around the same time period, get everything paved, so that when we open up the bridge, the trail will be available to be used as well. If not, it'll might be a couple weeks or a month or two off, but that one's out of my hands. That one's based off of construction and some other factors. All right. Recreation, like I said, we're prepping for the summer. We've got all of our classes ordered. We're entered into the computer system. We're taking, we've got all of our food trucks assigned. I think all but one have paid right now. So we're going to be officially advertising all of the food truck rallies very shortly, now that the payments have all come in, so we know exactly who's going to be at our rallies. Bands are all booked. 2 weekends ago, I want to give David a tip of the hat. He did a great job with the annual Easter egg hunt over at Pioneer Park. We had several hundred, if not more, participants in our Easter egg hunt. If you want to go on our Facebook page, if you've had a chance, I've got a little bit of video of the masses of kids coming at us, with all the Easter eggs. David estimates that he's, well, not himself, but the Ashwaubenon Girl Scout troop that takes it on as a project stuffs almost 8,000 eggs. And those are distributed into the 3 different age group areas. So that's a lot of eggs, it's a lot of candy. We typically just advertise it within our school system and within our brochure. A lot of people say, I don't see a lot of advertising for it. And that's because we don't want it, we want it to keep, we want to try and keep it an Ashwaubenon event. Certainly everyone is welcome to come to it, but it's very successful right now, and they do a great job with it.
My wife and I were out there with our grandnephew, and the first time I've been out there for that, I was amazed at the amount of kids out there. I thought, how are they going to do this? And it was really well run. And I credit, the parents and everybody out there that, there was no issues. Everybody was real respectful to each other. Unlike, I don't know if anybody saw in the news, other communities in other states where they had issues with parents knocking kids over and
Literally fighting.
It was a very well run. Yeah, it was neat.
David always has a number of prize eggs put out, and you don't know if you're getting a candy egg or a prize egg. You have to open it up, and if you get a special, like a note or sticker in one of the eggs, then you bring that to what's called the prize table for that corresponding age group area. And then you get, like Easter coloring books or pencils or, special Easter bunny erasers. I mean, little Easter trinkets, prize trinkets, some better than others, but all of them very fun. So the kids get a kick out of that as well.
Oh, Dave's not here to defend himself. Is it true that he was quality control for the eggs?
Well, someone has to be. I think that might have been a joint effort by a couple of the staff to make sure all the candy was tasting as it should prior to being put out into the field. A couple of them anyway.
Fair enough.
Staffing wise, we're doing pretty good staffing. We could use a couple more spring, summer, seasonal park maintenance staff and forestry staff, but I think we're doing well for the actual summer, which is great. Mel's got lifeguards and swim instructors lined up. I think we're probably the only pool in the area that, I want to knock on wood when I say this, but we're literally fully staffed right now.
Sweet.
For the pool in Ashwaubenon Lake, and that's, I don't want to speak for the other agencies, but I don't think they're close to that right now. So we're excited about that. That makes life so much easier to not have to worry about that aspect of it. We can focus our energies elsewhere then. And that has a lot to do with the village board final decision to increase the part-time wages to be competitive with what other businesses in the area are offering. So that helped a lot. Forestry.
Rex, can I ask about one rec thing, the adult softball leagues? How many teams do you get these days for adult softball? And nights, do you go every night of the week or?
No, it's not like it used to be.
Yeah.
Which is a bummer. We found we're doing a lot of rentals to ISA out at the sports complex. So every night there's still stuff going on out there, but for our own leagues, we are only using Monday nights.
Really?
Yeah, I believe we have, I want to say 14 teams that play on Monday nights.
That's it, huh?
That's it.
Wow.
And you're finding that it's like that at the majority of the other communities around.
Is that a men's or co-ed or or women's league that you have?
Typically co-ed.
What?
Co-ed and men's.
It's a shame.
Yeah, it is. Remember,
You should turn teams away.
When I came here in 2005, and Tracy, because you were before me. We were close to 100, if not over 100.
Wow.
And I know City of Green Bay had like 130, 140 teams at that time, and I don't think they're even at half that right now.
Wow.
Crazy.
Not even close. So it's softball's still fun, but it doesn't have the oomph, the power that it did as a sport, 10, 20 years ago. So a lot of, I think it's more of a time commitment. A lot of people like the quick hitting type of programs, and Plus, there's just a lot of other sports out there. Pickleball for one.
Pickleball,
Yeah.
Gaga pits.
Well, now that you bring that up, Rex, I was going to ask you that. Any ideas of adding any more pickleball courts? Are you getting requests for it?
We occasionally get some requests. I mean, we don't have a lot of extra courts. You know, we've got the bank of courts at the sports complex and at Pioneer Park, which are really need to stay tennis courts because they're used for the high school program and for the Parkview program. So really, then you're talking, you've got a couple courts over at Canterbury and you've got a couple courts over at Smith. And that's it. So if anything more were to be turned into pickleball from tennis, you're talking Canterbury and Smith, and quite honestly, those are used pretty much by a lot of tennis players. And typically, don't get me wrong, the two groups don't like to share courts just because the lines mess everything up.
Okay.
It can be done. So if we're looking at adding any more pickleball courts, it probably would have to be some dedicated courts somewhere. And we haven't really taken that next step. There's been some inquiries, but not like a concerted effort saying, we want this and we want another 2 courts over here or anything like that.
I know some of the private businesses, bars, whatnot, are putting them in. And
They are. The bar has a couple courts indoors that they use. Obviously, Green Bay Tennis Center, which is out on Packerland, they have pickleball playing year-round. I think Western Racket probably offers it to some extent, so.
okay.
I did see on Facebook, there's someone looking at bringing indoor pickleball to the shops in the village of Ashwaubenon.
Yes.
I saw that, so I don't know where they're at, if they're just putting something out to see if there's interest before they pursue it, but that would bring more courts to the area,
I'm guessing
private
that's
venture.
where the Elevation Church was, somewhere in there. I think that's a vacant.
Yeah, I don't,
storefront.
could be, I don't know, I'm sure there's some space open in there, but, yeah,
Yeah, I did hear that.
yeah.
I saw that on Facebook somewhere. Forestry. Now it's Tim's turn to get a good pat on the back. So Tim has been working with Trios. Trios is the company that is doing our ash tree takedowns right now. They are doing a phenomenal job.
Awesome.
Phenomenal job. Like they can take a whole street out within a day. They've got special equipment, some of the which is very expensive equipment, newer stuff that grabs the tree up on top, and then it's got a special saw that, you know, cuts it right off on the bottom, and then the grapple turns it, lowers it to the ground, and can literally put it right into the chipper, and it's very efficient. The crews that they have, Trios is actually from Tomahawk, I believe. Was it
Foley's.
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 Trios has one of the other bids. Foley's, my bad.
Tomahawk, they're from.
What's that?
They're from Tomahawk, I think, aren't they?
Yes, Tomahawk.
North.
So we're working with both of them this year, both companies. But Foley's, again, they're doing absolutely wonderful. It's very snowy up there still right now. Like there's a lot of snow on the ground, so they're not able to do their stuff that they usually do up there. So they were looking to come down with their crews, and they gave us a really good rate. And they've got at least 3 crews out there right now. They're in Park Place and certainly over by the Pioneer area, and I want to say they're going to be done, I think next week is it. They're going to be finishing up with all the tree takedowns by next week. And then when all the tree takedowns are done, then they'll be coming in with their stump grinding. They have separate crews for the stump grinding. They'll do all the stump grinding, get that all done, and then they'll be coming in and doing the repairing all the lawns.
Yeah, I saw them today on Cormier, and that piece of equipment they have is amazing. If you haven't seen that, it's just, like you said, this big piece of equipment just grabs it and they cut it at the base and lays it down. It's amazing, and the cleanup's got to be a lot easier because they're not, dropping those pieces down.
Because when you drop it, typically, especially with dead ash trees,
Yeah, it
they
just
literally
shatters.
explode all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah.
I worked from home last Wednesday and had the pleasure of taking a long lunch and watching my 2 trees disappear in that time frame. And I agree, like they had a gentleman with a backpack blower just constantly blowing all the sticks and debris back into the street, and the machine cutting and lopping, and the guy comes and takes the trunk and machine grabs it and throws that aside, and then they blow everything into the corner and sweep it into the, it just was amazing. It was mind boggling how fast it went.
Yeah.
Sad to watch that tree
Yeah.
disappear in
They've
40,
got, yeah, right?
but they're doing a great job.
They've got that operation done, so.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mary. Foley's, I want to make sure I give credit to the, both companies are very good. Foley's is the one doing the
Street,
street.
Trios is doing the
parks.
conservancy,
They're going to be
right?
doing the some of the park stuff, yeah. Questions on anything that we've talked about tonight, either on or, on any of the events or anything happening in the department?
No, we're good. Anything for, items for next agenda? Anybody have anything we want to discuss?
Rex, where are we on the, doing another evaluation with regards or assessment, community assessment with regards to the core plan?
Next year,
Okay,
24.
okay.
Will that be a total redo, or will that just be an update?
It typically is an update, so well, I don't want to say it's an update, because what we'll wind up doing is we'll open up a couple sessions here, certainly have it on an agenda for residents to come in and talk, but usually what we do when we're redoing that, we'll take the base of it, kind of like the bike and ped plan, Tracy. The base of it remains the same, but then we'll work on what the residents are looking for project-wise. So we'll probably go to 7 or 8 different parks and have community meetings at those parks. At the bigger parks, it'll be during the neighborhood special event nights. And then we'll sit down and we typically offer like free bottled water and free popcorn, and people can come and give us some of their ideas based on some of the projects and visions that we, as well as the park board has. We kind of make that project list and then kind of plug them into it's supposed to be a 5-year plan, but really we do it as a 10-year plan, because sometimes things move and shuffle based on when different opportunities come up. But that will happen again in 2024, with it needing to be done by 2025.
All right, anything else? Anybody? No? We'll take a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? None. We are adjourned.
Thanks, everybody.
This conference is